Hello, welcome to All For United WFC. Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. You're watching this on Christmas Day. Hope everyone's keeping well. I'm wearing my... I've got to get it in there right away. I might even just put the hood on as well. Look at this. Look how comfy I am, seriously. Look at that. Brilliant.
Look like a boxer now.
Exactly. I look like a boxer. It's the first time I've ever been saying, John, you look like a boxer. I've never been.
That'll be the last time as well, John. That will.
Yeah. Feel free to tweet, All For United WFC if you want to have an audio version of this particular recording, because I understand it's quite difficult to look on the top left. But
how is your left hook, John?
Not as good as my right one, mate. My right one's not too bad. It's good to get away from people. Anyway, enough of that. Andy, we was on the show yesterday, Christmas Eve. We spoke a little bit about how tough of a year it was, really, with everything that's gone on behind the scenes. But slightly different tact today. We sort of talk about our favourite moments, some of our best players, and this, that, and the other. So, Andy, I'll just start the show with yourself. I mean, some of the highlights. What kind of sticks in your head from the year just gone by, mate? Well, the year that we're in now, that we're just ending.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's funny because you're asking. My memory's a little bit like a sieve, so I'm probably going to talk about more recent stuff. But I think, obviously, as someone who happens to be a match-going fan, it's probably a bit less almost about the football. You know, I remember, the first thing that comes to my mind is more recently, which was, obviously getting that win against Brighton, and how much that lifted everybody. And just the personal experience of Villa Bodarisa coming. Hi Connor, hope you're watching. Villa Bodarisa coming over at the end of the game and having the opportunity to just say great goal. And she, it's not rocket science. She just said thanks and smiled. It wasn't a big conversation, but it was nice to have that connection. And I actually said to her that we're behind her, which we are. And again, she just said thanks and ran off. So basically, she was probably a bit weirded out that this random person was talking to her. But that's always nice to have that connection. So there's that memory. Getting up at 3 a.m. to get there as well. So some of the sort of things that maybe people on here don't see that much. We typically, we're all together. And actually, the memory that's the strongest for me at the moment is the one that's just gone against Villa. Maybe when this goes out, we'll know when Boris has finished having cheese and wine or whatever the hell he's doing, what the COVID restrictions are going to be after Christmas. But I've got to say that on Sunday, the experience that we all had that were there was one of the best I've ever had. There was an element of sort of one last ride to it, because we kind of don't know when we're not going to be in the stadiums obviously at that point. And I just feel like the atmosphere was rocking. It really was. We gave a heck of a lot. And obviously we got the 5-0 win, which was obviously even better. But I really think, and we had a meal afterwards as well, and it was really special, to be honest. And I'll probably struggle to get emotional if I'm not careful. And that's kind of what football is for me. It's having that connection with the players, getting behind the players, watching a great game and being entertained. But it's also that community and that shared experience. It was extremely special. And I hope I'm going to look like an idiot, and I hope I'm going to be there at West Ham away. But if not, I'm going to have to hold on to that memory for quite a while.
Yeah, I completely agree on the atmosphere. It's a funny old game, football, because you can, I've followed United men through the glory years, and sometimes the atmosphere has just been boring because you're just watching a team win and win and win, which is great. We all want to see that, but you kind of expect, and when you expect to win, it's not as exciting as when you hope to win. And that's what we've had with United women this season. We've started off winning games where we should win, and winning them fairly comfortably, but not convincingly. And then we've had some dreadful defeats, and we've had some really frustrating draws. And the last week has shown, it feels like things have been coming together towards the end of the season. We talked about December, and a few of us have said 12 points from 4 games. They're all winnable. Let's do it. The first one, we didn't get that, but 3 wins in a row with increasing levels of assuredness within the team, culminating in a 5-0 win in a game where, like Andy says, it could be the last one for a while. We hope it's not, but it could be. And I think all that coming together, an upturn in performances, a bit more clinical in front of goal, bagging the goals and racking up the numbers, and all being together for what might be the last time for a while. It really did make it quite electric at that last game.
Slater, you mentioned the results there for the past week. Our show on Monday, we spoke a little bit about how we turned the corner now. I guess talking more about consistency more than anything. It's hard to say that based on just 3 results, but maybe based on performances as well. Can you see us putting a bit of a run together in the new year?
It does feel like that. I think people talk about results, people talk about performances, and there's been a couple of games that have been talked about a lot, which is Spurs and Everton, where we played well enough, but then gave away silly goals because we weren't progressive enough. We didn't build on what we had. And it feels like we've that phrase turned a corner. It feels like we are now putting the performances in, managing the game, not settling for 1-0, pushing for more goals. We've got the players. We've got a threadbare defence, and we've got a wealth of attacking players. A lot from midfield rather than actually up front, but we've got a wealth of attacking players, and it's about time we use them. And you look at the team sheet in that last game, and we had a winger at fullback. Out of our, we talk about having 6 midfielders and which 3 do you pick, but 5 of them were in. There was only Jackie who's injured anyway. Out of our, you might say 6 midfield. That includes Ella Toon, who you might say is more of a forward these days, but effectively that's 5 midfielders, central midfielders. But we still played with width, and we were earlier in the season we were playing wingers, but with no width. So it feels like we've got a team sheet that suits the style of play.
Yes.
And we can manage the games, we can score the goals, we can keep the pressure on. And yeah, it's Villa. You could say Villa are the bottom of our mini division within the league. But until recently, there was only 5 points between 3rd and 10th.
Yeah.
So Villa were within 5 points of 3rd place. No matter that they were 10th in the league, they were only 5 points off 3rd. So the gulf in the league until recently isn't that much. So that was a very convincing win, and it was wonderful to see. And it does feel like, even if the results weren't there, the performance feels like it's improving all the time at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with what you said there, and you sound fairly positive, and so am I. I think I've tried to stay positive when we've got those draws, and it's been tough because of the performances more than the results for me. But I've always thought that he was trying to build something. I just didn't know that he was going the right way about it. I could kind of see what he was trying to do, but again, the execution wasn't there, and it appears that the last 3 games, he's kind of got that. Stu, we spoke a bit about atmosphere there, and obviously, if you have a look at the whole year, how much I guess did we take for granted the fact that at the start of the year, we wasn't at games, and all of a sudden we can go to games. I suppose we don't know what next year is going to bring, but Stu, just if you're trying to keep this show as positive as possible, being over Christmas, how good is it actually being back at games, and how much better does it feel than it did before because we don't take it for granted anymore?
Yeah, so the interesting thing, I've been a season ticket holder at Old Trafford now for 28 years, and I've seen everything at Old Trafford, the highs, the lows. I started supporting United in the 70s, my first game in 77, and I saw some absolute dross from Sexton and some dross from Ron Atkinson. And, for me, my first kind of experience of LSV, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I'd never really looked at women's football, not from an arrogance point of view, but I spent a lot of my early years playing the game, still do to this day. And I was quite surprised, actually, when I turned up and the level of quality that I saw in the first game against Reading. And I noticed a couple of things, that we were quite a small side compared to Reading. They were quite a large side. And I noticed that against Chelsea, City, etc. But what I have seen, and what I've always said, is that it takes time. It takes a lot of time for any team to gel. Now, whether or not Skinner's kind of fallen into this system, this 4-3-3 system that he's currently playing, or whether he's chosen it, I don't know. But what I will say is that the players have got an understanding now. And any team that has an understanding of whereabouts each player is on the pitch at any given time, it makes you dangerous, makes it very, very difficult to play against, and it makes you exceptionally quick in the thought processing when you're attacking. And that's what we've seen over the last few games. And I don't subscribe to the theory that it's just Villa. You can only beat what's in front of you, you know, and the WSL is growing. And as the WSL grows, teams will get stronger. The football will get better. The tactics will get better. The fitness will get better. And I think it's all a culmination of all of that is now starting to come together. Skinner did look lost a couple of weeks ago, for sure. I think he'd be the first to admit it. And I think sometimes you've got to take a deep breath. You've got to go rogue. Andy's heard me talk about this before as a player, but sometimes you've got to go rogue as a manager, and you've got to put aside what you feel is right to what you know will work. And I think he's got a situation with the girls now, whether they look like they're enjoying playing football together. By hook or by crook, he's fitted in the correct players in the correct hole. I think I would see Toon as a better 10 in behind Martha Thomas, and I'll put Russo out behind Martha. So you've got two kind of 10 players there. With Hayley Ladd coming in, she's shored it up. Andy will know I was calling for a 6 for a long time. And what that has done is enabled Zelem and Villas-Boas, if I pronounce that correct, to really show their quality. And players take time to if you come from a different country, international footballer or not, players take time. Adams in the men's game all the time, and I think patience is starting to show. And VBS or VBR, should I say, is showing the qualities. So hats off to Skinner. You know, sometimes you've got to dig deep yourself, and I think he's dug deep. I think the girls have definitely dug deep, and I think providing momentum could be kept. I would hazard a guess, and I would say quite comfortably now we would finish top 3. I think the top 2 are beyond us, but I think we could finish 3rd, and I think we could get Champions League football next season. So what I've taken from my fledgling experience of female football has been just how nice and decent people are, the fans that I've met and that have taken me on board. I've rubbed one or two of them up the wrong way. I appreciate that, but the whole thing about football and opinions is opinions, and you shouldn't always agree. Sometimes it's healthy to disagree, and I don't have a problem with that. And I've met a nice group of friends through Orford United WFC as well. And so for me, it's been a great experience, and I hope to get some more games in the new year.
Yeah. Go on, Andy.
I mean, as I say, twice I picked up that one. I mean, it's quite emotive for me. I mean, it was a very long day, but it was a long day, but it is quite difficult to think about because it means so much, and it's a lot of intangibles. I'm not really talking about watching X play or Y play. It's like the community bond, and it is almost indescribable, and I think that's why again, not to take off topic too much, when people have said about was he said about prioritizing your interactions before Christmas? My priority was the football.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with that. I'm putting it out now for people to see. Yes, I'm seeing my parents today. Maybe I got there, maybe I don't know. Obviously, but I took the risk on Sunday because the thing that was most important to me was to go be at that game. And I think people were not going to understand that, but in a way, that's kind of why it's so special. It is a lot of the intangibles as well as everything else, the game, the players, seeing their reactions, being there, making friends, having shared experiences, having a laugh. And it's really rare, I think, to have in a lot of places.
I think one highlight before I bring Yehuda in, just hearing you guys talk, and obviously hearing you talk every night, whether it be on YouTube or through WhatsApp, is how close the fan base has got together. So even though we've been through what we've been through this year, you know, away from football, we have got a lot closer. There's people that I've spoken to. Obviously, Stuart, you know, Stu, I never met you in real life before until obviously after COVID, you know, but we spoke during COVID on you know, YouTube like this. And it is great that it's worth mentioning because there has been like a lot of lows, you know, around. And I think, you know, things like this that we do as fans, it does bring us closer together. Yehuda, nice to see you back on the show. How are you keeping? Are you okay?
Yeah. We had our festive period before now, so I'm all fueled up.
Oh, good. What time is it where you are, mate? 11:30, did you say?
Yeah. It's 2 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, so obviously this will go out on Christmas Day. So yeah, it's about 2 hours. So it'll be about 9 o'clock when people will be watching that. So yeah, a couple of hours ahead. I know you watched a lot of last season. I know you've been busy this season. As a club, we've been through a hell of a lot this year with you know, a change of manager. Lots of talk behind the scenes about poor facilities. We've had this, that, and the other going on. Just what's your thoughts as a whole, Man United women's team throughout 2021?
Well, it's definitely been a busy year. You can say that looking at all the things that we went through, it could be like, you know, things that other teams or other clubs go through in 2, 3, 4 seasons. It was a really strong roller coaster of emotions from the turn of the year, from the start of 2021 when we were top of the table, and we felt that we are almost touching it. We felt like we belong there. We felt like we really got a few steps ahead in the process, and it felt great. Obviously, after that, it didn't continue as we hoped. But you know, injuries and all that, and COVID maybe had an impact. But yes, all in all, it's definitely been a positive year. You know, we will always look at it in a positive way. Like you said, it was we've been through so many players in and out, new manager. It was quite a storm when Casey left, and I remember that none of us knew how to feel about it. None of us really knew what to expect. How would this season will look like? But yeah, for me, the start of the year, when we were able to dream, to see maybe us, getting in amongst the top 3 and feeling like we belong there. You know, as the Man United fan, you always aspire for, you know, nothing but first spot. And for us to feel like we are getting closer, it was a good feeling. It was we felt we were on a high, and yeah, you know, everything that we've gone through, it's positive because we have a positive group of girls. Whether it's the girls that were last season or the new girls that came this season, I think I watched the team from afar. You know, last year was COVID. This year, well, actually, I had the trip planned and booked for Christmas games. Not the women's game, unfortunately, but the men's game, and I had to cancel it. So, so I haven't had the chance to feel it from close. I hear you talking about the feelings of being in the stadium and with all the other group of guys or friends in the stand. I envy you.
Yeah,
You know,
sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay. I'm waiting to be there. I'm waiting to feel it like you did. But but just hearing you guys speak about it, it feels absolutely wonderful. I'm happy for you. I'm not just envy, but hope maybe in the next few months or whatever left of the season to come and join you at least for one match. You know, pre-COVID, I used to come to Manchester once or twice a season. So it's been a long time now.
Yeah, I know you was only a couple of weeks away. I know you messaged me a week ago saying that you had a trip booked. I know that you were planning on going down to London first, and then obviously coming up to Manchester to watch the men's game at least. And I understand it was obviously a shame that that you had to cancel that. But yeah, just talking a little bit about that. You mentioned about Dare to Dream and get like first to third. At the start of the last season. Going into this season, did you think that we stood a chance of getting top 3 this season, or because a lot of fans thought, okay, stability is the key. Just made we had a lot going on over the summer. 4th, 5th. Some people were saying 6th potentially. Where did you kind of see us coming into this season?
The optimistic in me always thought, we were going to get 3rd or maybe more, but realistically, it was very, very difficult to guess or to see where we can get this season because of the great the big turn in the squad. You really didn't know how the team would gel and how the other teams, the other big 3, like they are called, how would they be compared to last season? But you knew that we had good players. You knew that there was a good base to lean on. Whether I thought we would get to 3rd or maybe more, I don't know. I hoped. I thought that there was the potential. There still is the potential. Actually, now more than the beginning of the season, I believe that we can go maybe further. Maybe if we can exploit another few setbacks of Chelsea. Maybe because you feel that now the last couple of weeks there is. It's not just the results; it's the feeling that the game give you. Yeah, you felt after the last couple of games that there is progress in the performance, in the how the team is connected. You just kind of feel it, and now I do believe that we can only get better. I strongly believe that we will be at least 3rd. Maybe even more. And overall, this whole year was a big roller coaster, and I can't wait to the next round.
Yeah. Slater, let's talk a little bit about our captain, because we always talk about a manager, but we don't really speak too much about our captain, Katie Zelem. This can open up so many conversations, but I think it's quite. Stu's laughing already. There's no one in the comments. Yes, Stu.
I'm just looking I'm just focusing on his outfit, mate. That's all it is.
That's what it is.
Well, to be fair, I was expecting the Mannion bucket more than anything.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah, I managed to get you that. We'll do a bit of inside. There we go. We'll do a bit of inside baseball, right? So I was at the mega store at the beginning of the season getting my Galton home shirt actually. And I happened to just sort of mention that, because John was like, if you see the bucket, let me know. Happened to mention that it was available on WhatsApp. Within about 5 seconds, my phone was like money literally was sent to my phone straight away. Oh, can you get one, mate? And it was like that. So you need to wear it. Honestly, maybe you look at
New Year special.
Have you got it tucked in your dressing gown? Is it next to your heart? Is that?
Oh,
Yeah.
he
You don't
comes
want to see
in.
it.
Andy comes in. For some reason, I've got a brown bag in my mind. I don't think it was a Megastore bag, was it? I think it was just a brown bag. He goes, "Here, here's your bucket hat."
Oh, you was there, was it? Yeah, first day of the
Give it
season,
to
yeah.
John.
Yeah.
I think John was chewing on his burger or whatever he was having at the time. And he pulled
Surprisingly
out
not
his bucket
chicken,
hat.
yeah.
He put this bucket hat on, and jeez, honestly, it was.
I'm sure the photo on me
It
on the
was
BBC
one of the
website.
funniest things you've seen because he doesn't suit a bucket hat at all. But he put it on once. We all started laughing. It's been in the bag since, Andy. That's the problem.
That's
We
what I
all
mean,
started
yeah.
laughing.
That's what I mean, yeah.
It'll come out. It'll come out.
Good man. Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Katie Zelem's had a decent few weeks. I think she might have shut up a few critics in some cases.
In other cases.
I think in recent cases, I think so. I think I'll say where I'll stand on it. I think there's probably a few fans out there who, Jackie Groningen fans, Vilde Balmeister fans, who have come across and they really want to see them play and they're playing Zelem's position. I think there's a lot of Lad fans who are also Zelem fans, but they want to see Lad play. I think Tooney is a shining star of English football at the moment. And people are seeing Stanley Force is getting a lot of game time as well. And I think it's hard to put everyone in a system at the moment. It looks like he's done that by playing 5 of them recently. And someone's going to make way, and it looks like, one of the reasons could be potentially because all the other players are fan favourites, whereas our captain doesn't seem to be everyone's fans' favourite. I think throughout the course of the year, potentially Zelem has had ups and downs. I think that started from the very start of the year with Dubai Gate, and unfortunately that kind of swayed a few fans against her. But if you talk about like the last month or so, she's definitely performed really well. She's got assists, she's got goals. I mean, the goal against was it Leicester where we got that equaliser and it went to penalties. That was a great goal. We haven't spoken about that much. I think that was a cracking goal. She's done well in the past week as well. Slater, I'll start you off on this. I mean, I haven't really got a question. I suppose I'll just ask you really just about her performance as a whole, and let's see where the conversation goes.
I think it's funny that the bucket hat came in, because I think when you ask about the captain, I think a lot of people would divert their attention to Aoife Mannion. That's been quite a common opinion.
Yeah.
I think she would be a very worthy captain as well. But I think, like you said, Zelem has come into it a bit more lately, and I think that's because we forgot what she was. She was being played as a defensive midfielder, and she's not a defensive midfielder. She never will be. She's got a bit of bite. She'll get stuck in, but a lot of her best attributes are going forward. Not so much as a 10, but as a proper central midfielder, right in the middle, involved in everything. But she was being played in defensive midfield, and I wonder if it's because we were threadbare in defence. I wonder if Hayley Ladd was being saved in case she needed to cover at the back. Now, I disagree with that approach. If that was the case, I'd want my best defensive midfielder protecting a threadbare back four. If that was the case, at least there's some logic to it. But since Ladd's come back into the team, which has happened to coincide with Millie Turner's return, Zelem has been playing in a proper position, and I think that's why she's been playing better. I'm glad it is with the other midfielders and not at the expense.
Yeah.
Because I think she's got attributes that some of the others haven't. For me, you've got Hayley Ladd in defensive midfield. You've got Toon and Staniforth that are more attacking, maybe number 10s or thereabout. And then I think as proper central midfielders that you wouldn't pigeonhole as attacking or defending, you've got Vilde Balmeister, Katie Zelem and Jackie Groningen. I think those 3 are the proper midfielders that do traditional midfielders, so to speak. The ones that, everybody needs a specific position these days. Nobody's just a midfielder anymore. You're always either defensive or attacking. But I think those 3 are proper midfielders that you need at least one of them in your team that can cover everywhere. And I think now that Zelem's playing in that position, I think that's why she's starting to come into her own a bit more. In a team that's working as well. Because when the team isn't performing, you can't really blame individuals for not shining. You want your leaders to stand up and be counted when things are going bad, but it's easier to single out an unpopular player when the team in general is playing bad.
Yeah.
But now the team's doing well, she's in a proper position, and I think I've been a little bit negative about her because of the performances, but I've been more frustrated that she's been playing out of position. So I'm delighted to see that she is right in the middle, getting stuck in, and it's benefiting her and the team.
Yeah, I mean, we touched a little bit on it on yesterday's show when this goes out. I mean, she is a leader though as captain, and obviously we've kept Skinner honest. I think we pushed him as much as we continue to push him, and and I think obviously we need to keep doing that with Katie. I mean, the problem that I have is that Mark sees her as undroppable. Now, I'm not talking about how she's playing. The woman could sit in the middle of the pitch; she would not be dropped, and that's just something that that I do struggle to understand as a concept, because I mean, one of the points made in the previous show was that Leah's had a bit of an issue with form. She got time on the bench, and now she's looking really good. You could argue that, all right, Katie's come out the other side now, and she's had a really strong last few games. But maybe we could have got the strong Katie a bit earlier if he would have dropped her for a short period or for a game. But he just didn't, and I think that's what was so difficult to understand. So in a way, you could say it's almost like a negative to Katie. Maybe she could have got there a bit earlier if Skinner would have actually rotated her, because for some reason she is literally undroppable, and I think that was quite a difficult thing to understand. I mean, she is getting better, and she's our captain, and I want to give her as respect, and I'm sure there's things that we can't see that she adds to the team, like behind closed doors with camaraderie, bringing young players on. Our team is all very young. I think our oldest player is 28. I mean, and that's maybe one of the things we might move on to about transfers. We do need to bring a bit more sort of veterans forward. We need some support there to bring on some of these younger players forward. But I think with Katie, like, it's and like this new position as well with the sort of five in midfield, it's working really well. But is it working really well because like a broken clock twice a day? Like, is it, or is it working really well because it's a hybrid version of the final Skinner ball that he wants to play, and he's finally realised he's got to use the pieces he's got in front of him? I actually think it's probably the latter. It probably is the hybrid version, and Skinner's got his head switched on a little bit now, and hopefully in January we'll get some additions to that, and everybody will kick forward and play really well. But I think. We love and support all our players. Yes, some players are more supported than others. Some players are fan favourites, some players aren't. But it's only because we want to bring United forward, and that's certainly what it is from my perspective.
I do agree with what you say about her being undroppable. I think that is the problem, because there's a lot of competition in that midfield. But I do suspect that it's because she was covering at defensive midfield while Ladd was being saved for defence. And I disagree with the approach completely, but I suspect that might be why we've seen her play every game. And I think it's disappointing if that is the case. This is just me speculating, so don't blame Skinner based on it. But I do suspect that's the reason. It's covering for cover, and that's the frustrating bit, that we had the players to play the position, and she was playing there and not that very well. So I completely agree with you. The undroppability is the frustrating part, but I think there's possibly some flawed logic that led to that.
You see, I kind of agree with both points. I think Andy puts a well balanced argument actually, and Andy knows my viewpoints on Zelem. I've been a supporter of Zelem since I first saw the team play, and it's got nothing to do, from my eyes, with wanting to be controversial or anything like that. It's the way that she conducts herself on the pitch. And Andy makes a really good point. And it's difficult to argue against it, but it's also very, very difficult to say. But Andy's right. There are certain things that certain people don't notice in footballers. but that doesn't mean they don't know football, if that makes sense. I'm trying to articulate this the best way I can, because Andy knows football, but there are types of players that go unnoticed, at certain things that they do in a game that completely go unnoticed. And what tends to happen is, and it's the same in the men's game, same in junior football, any type of football, if a certain player makes one or two errors in a game, they tend to get highlighted more than sometimes their spatial awareness. Because Katie Zelem, again, the Redden game, she was very, very clever with her spatial awareness. So she was dragging players out of position, which creates gaps. I think Jackie Groening came on in the second half, didn't she? And so Katie Zelem is very, very good at that. He's also right when he says that, and so Slater, by the way, that she was played out of position. I think I identified that quite early on, didn't I, Andy? In one of our very first shows, I said she was playing out of position then. And I've kind of stuck to my guns with it, really. And it's kind of, I've caused a little bit of friction by it, which I'd never wanted to do. But I've always stuck to my guns because I've always been honest in my opinion. But I don't force my opinions on anyone. It's just the way that I see it. But Andy's got a balanced argument, because he brings up the fact that, is she undroppable? And there are occasions in teams where players are undroppable. And it isn't actually because what they're able to do on the pitch. It's sometimes their aura and their presence. Now, I'm not saying it's the right thing or the wrong thing, but it does actually happen. It happens in the men's game. Eric Cantona, Slater, you'll know this, went through 2 or 3 months when he came back from his from his ban. He started off quite well, and he went through a very poor period in his cycle. But he had that aura, and players respected him. And I'm just wondering, I don't know this for sure, I'm just wondering whether Katie's got that respect within the squad, and that Skinner understands that, and he thinks that she's needed on the pitch. I don't know what will happen when Jackie comes back, because I was talking to Nat earlier on today, and Nat thinks that Jackie and VBR and Lads would be a better three. She wasn't disrespectful to Katie. She just felt immediately, without any thought, that would be the best thing. So I don't know what Skinner does with Jackie, but you are both right. He's got this hybrid system that works very, very well, and I can see why it works, and that's why I talk about Tooney and Russo. I don't think Russo's an out-and-out 9. I think she's better when she drives with the ball. You need players during a game that when we're under pressure, like Chelsea, when we're under pressure, the ball gets up to someone like Russo, maybe on the turn at the halfway line, she can drive, and it allows us to get up the pitch. And I think what's happening at the moment is Tooney's coming into her own again. I think Russo is a better wide stroke 10 player, and I would have Martha Thomas, because I don't know enough about Martha Thomas. Andy knows I don't know enough about the players to be really, but what I've seen about Martha, she seems our most natural 9. You know, she understands the 18-yard box is her natural habitat. That's her home. And her goal on Sunday was just right place, right time. It wasn't a difficult finish, but it was right place, right time. And I don't feel Russo would have been there. So I think you both make excellent points. And I'm not being patronising when I say about sometimes people see different players differently. I just wasn't quite sure how to articulate it, but I get what you
mean. I mean, it's things that, the best example as well, again, a little bit of inside baseball, we're at Durham, and I know everyone who knows that's always a place with interesting stories, and you're on top of the pitch. I mean, I literally, it's not exaggeration, I've said this before, I'll even say it on there because it is Christmas. I was that close to when Skinner came over, I could smell his aftershave. I'm not even joking.
I remember you saying, you said
but I said it, I haven't said it on camera before, but basically we were that close, and when the players were, when the game was on, obviously the subs run to warm up, and what I did find that was quite interesting, Katie was extremely vocal. It was like, yes, Leah, yes this, yes that, and she was like actually like sort of like cheering them on a little bit. And obviously, you know, we're not a million miles away in most places, but when you're basically on her shoulder, you know, I remember when Mary was warming up, she went, "You lot are quite close, aren't you?" Because we were uncomfortably close.
Yeah.
For them anyway, we were fine, but for them, you know, so it was almost like having a GoPro, and it wouldn't be like you see in like with NFL, you see that sort of all or nothing sort of like embedded with the team. And she was doing almost a bit of pseudo coaching. Yes, you know, do this, and she was quite active. Now, I'd never seen that before, so that was quite an interesting thing. Because one of the other criticisms that I have of her normally is that she is a captain that does not put any pressure on the referees at all. A decision is given, she runs away. Now, I know that's what it should be in the letter of the law, but you watch some other captains, they do little bits of, it's almost like little couple of words, you know, that wasn't the first time, or well done, ref. Little, and it's sort of drip, 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 drip over a game. And I think we do miss out on that because she is a goody two shoes. She runs straight off and she doesn't, whereas Mannion, you know, is a bit more combative. I mean, she will sort of say to the ref, "What's that about?" kind of thing. Now, you could say that's more dangerous because you can get a yellow, especially with these refs and stuff like that. But I do kind of wish maybe that she did take a leaf off Mannion's book a little bit and show a bit more, you know, a bit more edge, a bit more tenacity in that respect with some of the sort of like games that, not gamesmanship, but the sort of like,
that's a good point.
You know, kind of element to it. And I know that, you know, she's been played with Mannion recently, and maybe Mannion is pushing her like the way Bagley pushed Earps, because maybe she now does know that there is another captain in waiting.
I mean, it's quite interesting to say that, because when I was playing, I never paid any attention to my skipper at all. Not one little bit, oh, whatever, because I was too busy concentrating on my own game and my own segment where I was playing at that particular time. But I was playing with a group of men that we had 9 or 10 people screaming at each other constantly, you know, talking about positions. I mean, what you just said there about Mannion, that would be standard practice for me. Absolutely standard practice. You know, I'd be in the ref's ear constantly during the game, but then would be our centre halves, our right back, our forward. You know, that's how it used to be. And maybe you're right about the women's game. I don't know whether it transcends into the women's game. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it a lot in most teams.
Chelsea do it. I've seen it. Yeah, the sort of the top tier, and it does. I mean, it's just little. It's, as I say, it's like the little drips, because it does affect refs. I know, especially these level of refs, because they're very low level compared to what you've got with the men's. You know, proper refs shouldn't be affected by that. But it did frustrate me sometimes, especially if someone had gone against us. Katie, as a captain, should be there, and sometimes she's run down the pitch, got into position, which is great. That's what you should do. It's what you teach kids to do. But
that's right.
I just think we're missing out an element.
You're right. No, you're right. I agree with you on that.
I just want to get Yehuda's thoughts, because Yehuda, you're on Twitter quite a bit, and there's quite a bit about our captain on Twitter over the past 12 months. I guess I just want to ask, do you think she's been a bit like unfairly treated by some of the fans? Because it does seem to be a bit OTT. You know, even on this channel over the past 12 months, you know, you look back and you hear things in the stadium, and it seems to be quite. I think it seems to be a bit too harsh at times. What are your thoughts on that, Yehuda? Well,
I think it gets unfairly when it goes over the top, when it goes beyond just criticism. But yeah, I think she's probably, maybe you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is the most Katie is the most debatable player in the team. And the fact that there are various opinions on both sides of the argument, to say, so it means that there are good things about her, because if there weren't, then there was no debate, because everybody would know that she's no good. But yes, I think it's down to what you guys spoke about, the things that some fans or some viewers from the side can see. You know, we can only guess, we can only assume what the manager is thinking. My guess would be that he sees Zelem as an important part of keeping all the players on his side, maybe. Of course, if she was, not a good player at all, she wouldn't be in the starting lineup. I don't think so. But I think there is an element to that. I personally think that there are better advantages to other players, just tactically and in terms of maybe speed of play, speed of running, speed of passing. But yeah, it's. I think that this debate will go on and on. I hope Katie is not affected by it. I do recommend, if you haven't heard her interview in the United podcast.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah, it gives a good impression of Katie, the person behind the player, and maybe gives us some kind of sense of her brains on the pitch also, how she likes things going on and off the pitch. Personally, I think that Skinner sees her as, of course, not just, but there is a big part mentally, or keeping the squad together in the fact that he plays every game. I would go for when Jackie comes back, I would like to see her. Of course, whether she, if she can get back to form quickly. But yeah, I love Katie like every other player. Whatever criticism I may or may not have, it's just professionally. And she deserves to play. She deserves maybe not to start every game, but she deserves to play. She earned her place. It just, some little doubts or opinions about her abilities, but at the end of the day, she do deserves to be there, and it's a fair argument. I just, I don't know. I haven't seen that much of the debate on Twitter, but I just hope it all keeps on a decent level, in a more human sense,
Yeah.
and not
No.
abusing or not. But as long as it's just professionally, I'm all for that debate. And like most debates, you would probably never get a definitive answer here or there.
I mean, the way I look at it, the way I'll use a bit of another, a bit joking. It is Christmas and all that jazz. It's like we're all trying to watch the same TV, and someone loves rom-com, someone likes horror, someone hates horror. So we all have different preferences. But it's like, I'm not going to sit down and watch this for the next hour. Oh no, I really want to watch this. It's brilliant. It's exactly the same debate.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's still like, I think we've got one above most people or most fan bases because we're treating them like players. Even Katie's biggest critic, for example, you would say that it's talking about her as a player with a lot more respect than a lot of these people who sit there, use it as pseudo childcare and take a 6-year-old and don't really care about the result and clap them if they play great, clap them if they play terribly. So I think, to be honest, I think she'll probably take that because we do care about every single player who wears a shirt, and we do see them as athletes and as players. And you cannot say that we don't have similar debates about Zelem as maybe some of the men's fans might have about Van der Beek not playing. And Ollie.
I think the equivalent is McTominay, maybe.
or do you know what I mean? Like in that respect,
that's football, though, isn't it, lads? That's football. That is. That's what football's about. Football's about debate. It's about opinion. It's about everybody wanting, your chosen team to win, but you just see it differently. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. It's how it should be. It's how it should be.
We've got to move the show on because we've only got 10 minutes left. I just want to kind of ask what everyone's kind of like favourite moment or favourite players have been this year. So obviously it's quite easy just to say a player's name, but I think a lot of things have happened this year with our new signings. New signings of like 2 seasons ago, still doing really well. You've got like Fuso coming into this season, who's done brilliantly well, performed above my expectation at the start. At the start of the season, I was a little bit worried about her, and she's coming now, and I want to see her starting games. We've seen Carrie start. We've seen Maria and Carter in the devs scoring so many goals. We've just seen so many positive points of so many players who have played well. I'll start with yourself, Slater. What are some of the kind of standout performances or players or moments that you've seen this season?
I think my favourite player is Hayley Ladd, and I think the recent games have shown why she stands out, and her absence shows why she stands out as well. I think she was a big miss, and whatever the reasons were that she wasn't playing, I think she was a big miss whenever she's not in the team. She should be first on the team sheet for me. I think she defends all over the pitch. She doesn't sit and protect the back four. She protects the whole team. If we take a corner and lose the ball, she's challenging for it straight away. She's like a one-woman press. She's just everywhere, and I think that's why we adapted the Georgie Best song for "We All Live in a Hayley Ladd World."
Yeah,
and the idea that number 1 is Hayley Ladd and number 2 is Hayley Ladd. She is all over the pitch. So I think, not to say that she's a Georgie Best, but I think it's quite a fitting song for her because she covers every blade of grass and she almost plays every position in throughout the course of the game. So I think she's not the most fashionable a player, but I think she's a bit of a fan favourite because she's so reliable and so important to the team.
Cool. Andy?
I think, I agree with that. I mean, I think, and it's probably been great to see her develop as well, because she's kind of came from nowhere, obviously, originally, and sort of has developed a little bit. But I think, for me, I think this year, the thing that I've jumped on is there's 2 things really that I've jumped on. Is I think it's the year that Anna Bajé has come and become, one of our best assets, really. Not only is she an excellent defender, she actually scores goals. She's got an element of swagger and just, I don't know if it's Catalonian coolness. She's just like, she's just got that kind of like maybe a little bit, it's just, and just watching her, like a dog with a bone, dogging on defense, pushing forward, scoring some great goals. Like that first goal that she scored against Reading in the first game of the season, she, that's not something that a defender needs to do. That it really is an added bonus, and she's done it, I think, at least a couple of times this season. And I just hope we can hold on to her, because unfortunately, Barcelona will come knocking, not in the not too distant future, and she's born and raised in Catalonia, so it's you can't really get, it's like you can't really get in between that. It's like getting in between John and chicken, like you just can't. It's a match made in heaven. And the second thing is Ella Toon. She was not poor at all, was she, when she first arrived as an OG21? But she's still technically old enough to play for the Devs, as I always keep saying, to remind everybody where she's come. She's essentially the shining light of hopefully focusing on youth, and she's the first one who's come over the line. She's got poise in her interviews now. She's getting a lot more confident. She's getting noticed by England. And luckily enough for us, she's United through and through. And I'm pretty confident that if Emma Hayes came up with a truckload of money, she might actually still stay at United. She does love United, and we're bloody lucky for that. So hopefully we can still, keep her happy and keep her playing, because she's really become a massive threat. And I would say now, when it comes to attacking options within England, she's basically the first name on the team sheet. And we've got a player, already such a young team. We've got an England first name on the team sheet with Ella Toon, and the second name on the team sheet is Mary Earps. So we've done well there. And so I've got 3 then there. Go on, John. What's yours?
Well, I was going to say Ella Toon as well. I was really pleased that she just keeps on progressing, and, to go from where she's gone to where she is now. We had Reece Land on the show last week, and he was basically just saying, if he could get, she's like the most marketable person out there at the moment in the WSL, and she really is. So for me, it's just seeing Tooney just keep on going from strength to strength, and who knows where she'll be, this time next year, because she just keeps on progressing, doesn't she? Stu, your favourite moment or player?
Yeah, well, broken record time here, I'm afraid. Andy will laugh. It's Thor. She's out the side at the minute, I know, but For me, I'm a centre half, so I played my trade. Central midfield first, then back to centre half. So I can appreciate Hayley Ladd and what she does for the team. But Thor, for me, it kind of reminds me of me in many ways.
It's a blonde hair.
Yeah, she's got really good positional sense. She's good in the air when she wants to be. She's good with the feet when she wants to be. But I always think, and one of my biggest problems was when I was playing at a good level was if I didn't win the first header, that would be it. My game would be gone to pieces. I had to get that first header in against the attacker, and I'd seen that with Thor a couple of times. If she didn't win a first header or a first challenge, it would take her a long time to grow into the game. But I know she's at the side because I know Millie Turner is, by all accounts, I've not seen Millie play, but by all accounts, an exceptional defender. But I think that Thor and Mannion have complemented each other quite well. But she's an all-action player when she's on a game, and that was my type of game. And she's the one that stood out for me from Reading, as well as Katie. Those were the two players that really stood out for me against Reading, and so she's the one. My best moment was going to watch Man United Reading women, of the season. That was the thing for me. That's my highlight.
Downhill from there.
Well, the thing is, as John will say, people don't know, I was on my own. I was in the south stand. I was waving to people, and people were, they were ignoring me over there. The old Barmy Army didn't want to know me. And no, I'm only joking. But they looked after me at the pub beforehand, and looked after me going to the ground. And it was just a brilliant day. It was a really, really good evening. It was great. So, Thor and Reading.
Yehuda, we've got literally 1 minute to go.
Sorry.
That's all right. Your favourite player moment?
Well, player, I would like to focus on Mary. I think she's done an exceptional job this season, this year. I think she just keeps progressing, and the fact that she's England's #1 at the moment speaks volumes. I think she has great technique on the saves. Yeah, sometimes she can, miss something, but I think I definitely see her as our keeper for the next foreseeable future. For me, she's a standout and maybe even deserves more credit than she gets. I even see her as a future captain. I think that she has it in her, and I can see her only improving, keep improving. And for me, she's the standout.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Yehuda. I know we haven't been on the show for a while, so don't be a stranger. Please come back.
No problem.
Andy and Stu, hope you have a fantastic rest of your day with your family. And
Thank you.
Andy, I'm sure you'll be back next week on one of the shows, so we'll look forward to that one. We'll keep everyone posted.
I've been up since 5:30 this morning, John.
Oh, on Christmas morning, I'll bring all your presents.
Yeah, well, the kids have. The kids have been there. Come on, come here.
Yeah, you can see the office going to be shared out with both of you, but yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me, guys, on Christmas Day. And if you guys are watching this, you're probably watching it Boxing Day or later on, whatever day you're watching it. Please hit the thumbs up and keep in touch with the channel. And we shall see you again soon. Hope you have a great day.